formally, but welcome everybody. This is the fifth iteration of our online conferencing, and not so many pictures I can see. We always, you know the routine, we always go through a look at all of the participants, and we decide who's got the best backdrop today. And it's looking as though it's Phoenix Taekwondo today, who's sitting in front of his backdrop there, or you've created that. Very, very impressive. Everybody else, it's just looking at your wallpaper and the colour of the paint on your walls. So, and by the way, some of you need to decorate. So we'll get cracking. Just for those that have joined us, welcome again to the fifth version of the British Taekwondo online conferencing. Please, if you can, keep your microphones on mute. If you do have a question while we're going through the conference, if you click on the chat function that's at the bottom of your screen, if you move your mouse around, you should be able to see that, and use the chat function to just jot down your questions. And myself and some of the other speakers or other people, if you are on the call and you know the answer to the question, please chip in, and we'll do it that way, and we'll try and answer as many questions as we possibly can. So we've got some fantastic speakers today. We're trying to do these sessions at various times across, just to see whether or not earlier or better is better. I know some of you are still working, if you're not furloughed. Some of you have classes that you teach. So we would quite like your feedback on which session times you prefer to do these conferences. And if you could just let Rhiannon know your views on that, that would be really helpful. So as I say, we've got some great speakers today. We've got Geraldine Jones, who's going to kick us off in a moment, from Toddington and Cotswolds Taekwondo, talking about the importance of positive coaching and the language that we use, especially during lockdown. We'll then move on to online engagement training, and listen and hear from Peter Stewart. And I've been watching, actually, Peter, what you've been doing online. Some of the stuff is fantastic. So I'm very, very excited to hear about that.
Thank you.
And then when we're finished with Peter, if we can get him off, we'll move on to Mark Hayward, and he's going to talk about goal setting and planning your return to training. Once that's done, I'm just going to run through a few things about what next, when we start returning to play, to use the government language, and just update you on a few things that I've heard from Sport England and from government and from our colleagues at GB Taekwondo. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to Geraldine, if you're there.
I am back. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, just to ask one or two of you, like Hyung Seon, could you please put your microphone on mute, if you don't mind, and anybody else that's got their microphone still open, because the feedback can be quite bad. So Jerry, over to you, and looking forward to it. Thank you for doing this as well.
No problem. I'm just going to try and share my screen here. I'm hoping that that my memory has served me okay. So can everybody see that? Is that okay? Can you see that? Great stuff. Fantastic. Love it when a plan goes to plan. Okay, thank you everyone for letting me speak today on the British Taekwondo Conference. Many of you know me, but those of you who don't, I'm a head coach from Toddington and Cotswolds Taekwondo. I'm one of the been there for now 7 years and coaching for about 3, so I'm a baby amongst all of you. However, I do, over the 20 years experience, I've worked in the hospitality trade, just in the last 10 years working with early years provisions, primary schools and secondary schools. And I'm actually studying for my master's degree at the University of Worcester in sports coaching. So hence why I've just tagged in the university there. These are really testing times for us all. And as coaches, I hope to share with you today my knowledge and hopefully some ways to continue our current coaching conditions with some positive learning experiences, helping to support those who are finding it difficult adjusting to the current environment, and some coaching that we can also use when we return to training and some normality. Appreciate everyone's coaching techniques are different, and so take away today what you think may work well for you. I'm not trying to change the way you coach. You know, everyone's different, everyone delivers differently, so just take away with you what you want. So coaching is a process that aims to improve our athletes' performance. Coaching is unlocking our athletes' potential so that they can reach their maximum performance. In doing this, we are helping them to learn rather than teaching them. I hear you say that teaching is probably the same as coaching, and although they do share the same characteristics, they are quite different. In coaching, most of the words are verbal with demonstration also making its way into our sessions. Our words can often be positive, sometimes constructive, but also at those moments when we know the pressure needs to be applied, the calm but a bit in-your-face chat has happened to all of us. It's important to realise that no matter how many athletes want to achieve their goals, the words we use and do not always help and often make things worse. Being able to use powerful words that empower all our club members and athletes and allowing them to feel confident but releases their determination to try more. Words that have power and direction are even more important in our competitive moments. Sharing the commitment and vision in the words we use as coaches will have the same impact and get across the message in the same positive manner. So coaching is quite a controversial activity that aims to support people to learn and develop in sport, in this case Taekwondo. Therefore, as coaches, enhancing our athletes' ability to achieve more of their untapped potential and at any level of participation, whether it's recreational members in our club or elite squad members competing. This is a way of understanding coaching and how important it is that we understand each individual's learning abilities. By looking at that self-directed approach of interaction, we are distinguishing coaching from our mentoring. As coaches, we're not teaching, we're creating an environment which is for people to learn from themselves by connecting with natural curiosity. As our athletes take on more positive pedagogy, they take on more autonomy and ownership to participate in a variety of learning and tactical solutions to their training. This in turn gives them empowerment and they become more prepared to engage in purposeful social interaction and rely less on us as coaches as they take up a more responsible approach for their learning, and it allows important and positive learning experience, which is really needed in clubs. So there are so many reasons why we coaches are athletes in Taekwondo. Some may be similar, more personal, some are wanting to enrich our athletes through their own passion for sport. Great qualities and characteristics are what makes us good coaches. Along with this, our ability to work as a team with not only our members but other coaches throughout the Taekwondo community. It's important for us for our athletes and us as coaches to support each other and respect each other no matter what the level. So that strong relationship can be delivered to help each other through positive and constructive moments. Perseverance, a tenet that we all know too well and is important, not just for our athletes, but us as coaches. When we work with our athletes, we need to work together, not give up, and know it's okay to make mistakes as long as we learn from them and continue to work hard through what we learn, which can lead then to improvement and positive rewards. Coaching is about understanding the athlete before we coach to ensure we know theirs and our limitations and expectations. So athletes and individuals that are used to busy routines and who are now training indoors or in their gardens for such a long time will be facing real challenges around staying engaged and feeling the effects of not doing their normal day-to-day lifestyles. It's imperative to do everything possible to avoid this and interact with our athletes to ensure we are not just focusing on their training sessions via Zoom or training schedules online, but also their mental health and well-being, how they're feeling, and asking how life is outside of sport, outside of Taekwondo. Positive pedagogy emphasizes what our athletes can do and how they can use existing individual and social resources to make these challenges through communication as us as coaches and our own reflection. For athletes to have comprehensible learning, they need to know not only how to do something, but also to know when, where, and why. Asking our members questions to generate communication and their own thinking promotes athlete-centered learning. And in doing this, we're encouraging positive learning and avoiding being critical or telling our members they are wrong, thus further promoting divergent thinking, creativity, and enjoyment of meeting challenges and discovery. So current times, athletes and any individuals that are used to busy routines and who are now training will need that support. We need to be able to not worry about, whether that technique is perfect or that technique needs more work. We need more fitness training. We don't train like this, we train like that. In using one of these virtual sessions to just connect with your members and asking them how they're doing will mean so much more. Especially, to show as a coach you care not only about their physical well-being, but also their mental well-being. Remembering that all of us deal with situations differently will give us time to appreciate the multitude of circumstances that many of us are facing, from grief through to celebration. Being able to engage in all our audiences, ages and abilities, and working to help all the demographics socially. Currently, families under the same roof will be finding it really difficult. We're not, but we're doing so good so far. We've not killed our kids, but we're being able to be in the same room or being able to give social space at home is really important, and time to reflect, by sitting in the garden or reading a book, or if needed, really getting engaged in those training sessions to let off some steam. We need to allow the conversation to open up on members' thoughts, emotions, and promote any help where needed around mental health, depression, anxiety, and support their confidence and self-esteem. So the way forward, I don't have the answers. We could finish this really quickly. It could go on for a long time, but we don't know when the sports environment will return to its normal pursuits. But as coaches, we can use the time we have to put our skills, knowledge, and charisma into communication. And virtual participation with our members, especially those who are at elite level that will really worry they've not trained enough or are actually training too much. The moments to create memories when we attended development seminars, competition, training at the National Taekwondo Centre, having guest trainers to our clubs will return. It's just not going to happen right now. And we need to reassure our members and all of the coaches that work with us of this. Now is about making new memories in a different way, allowing your members to show off their skills at home through photos, videos, and setting some daily challenges along the way. Think outside the box, train all week and finish the week with a Zoom reflection session over a cup of tea. Younger members schedule a scavenger hunt to ask them to put all the things they have at home to do with Taekwondo. And then Zoom, so that they can show others. And it's also a way of checking that they know where their kit is. Some of them might have lost it somewhere along the way. Most of all of us is, most of all, if there's anything to take away from this presentation and positive pedagogy, is that you and your members come to us as coaches for inspiration, motivation, and leadership. Coaching is as much about leadership as it is about being the shoulder to cry on or a punch bag. To shout, and when something is going wrong or right, as coaches we may wear many faces, and now is the time to wear those faces and lead your teams to the next stage of their journey. Thank you. That's the end of my presentation. It was a short one. I hope you taken away some ideas from that. You can kind of see the university side of me coming out, but as from a normal coach's point of view, it is difficult at the moment, but we really need to stay engaged with our members and let them know that we're there for whatever reason, whether it be training, just to have a chat, and you know, we are that person that many of them will go to. So I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Jerry. Before you go, just what would be your sort of top 3 tips or takeaways for this new world of online teaching? You know, coming from the education background as you do,
it's really hard. It's something that none of us have ever, you know, we took for granted, all the online schools and, you know, children who do homeschooling, you know, all those children have suddenly become, you know, actually quite popular children. You know, it was a time where homeschool children, oh, you know, you're just bunking off school. Actually, that's our new world. And my 2 children, you know, they're 11 and 13, but they have days where it's really good and really difficult. But I think it's, you know, that whole take one day at a time, and look for ways to keep people, you know, engaged. And if that day doesn't go so well, it doesn't go so well. It doesn't matter. You know, tomorrow's another day. We start again. But from an education point of view, I think this is going to be probably, you know, like this for a little while now. And if we can look for ways to keep those teams engaged, you know, keep those elite athletes engaged, I think, you know, we'll be able to come back in and go back to training. It may be slightly different, maybe slightly behind, we may be slightly in front. You know,
without stealing Peter's thunder before we move on, I'm just wondering, you know, do you do any online classes yourself? Are you teaching Taekwondo online?
Yeah, so we do. We actually do 9 sessions a week. So we cater for our little ones. So the little ones that are in this little slide here, that's just half of the toucans we've got. And so that's, you know.
Sorry to cut across you. What are the main things that you've adapted from your the normal world, whatever normal is these days? But you know, just to get your key message across, understanding the way that children especially learn. How have you adapted what you do in the normal classroom environment in education? How have you adapted that specifically for Taekwondo in what you're teaching online? You know,
okay, so
get a couple of golden nuggets out of that.
My Zoom session, I actually did a training session before this conference this evening, and my toucans tonight, we were using a book and we were learning how to put our side kicks in the right position and balancing our book so it didn't drop off. If your leg is in the right position, the book shouldn't move. You know, simple things like that. Scavenger hunt, you know, bring all the things that you associate with Taekwondo to our Zoom session. It's just small things, you know, nothing extravagant, you know, little things that you can, you know, you're going to wear your kit to Taekwondo, but now you're going to bring it to a Zoom session. Whether that's wearing it or whether that's, you know, putting it on to show everybody. Bring us all your medals that you've done with Taekwondo. Incentivizing children through positive rewards. So we do a star of the week. We've got an actual reward board where we've taken lots of photos and put boards, you know, photos of the guys training at home on it, and we update it each week. It's just little things that you can do at home. We don't expect you to do massive things, but it's showing them that you care and then posting that out on your pages.
That's really, really useful. Phil Payne was talking about the same sort of stuff over previous weeks, and it's so really what you're saying is keep things bite-sized, keep them entertained, keep them relevant. If it doesn't work, don't be afraid to fail. That kind of.
And with the adults as well, you know, we do the fitness and the Taekwondo sessions as well. We do them separately. But, you know, for the adults, at the end of the week, last week, we had a virtual barbecue. You know, we invited everybody to that barbecue on Zoom, and we just spoke about how everybody was. You know, you can do that with a cup of tea for half an hour. And then I think everybody can make half an hour. So, you know, even if it's 10 minutes, just come on, say hello and and go again. It's just about staying engaged and little bite-sized chunks of keeping all the members engaged.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, I'm going to stop there because
That's fine, no problem.
Peter will go, well, you've just ruined my part. So if any of you have any questions for Jerry, comes from this education background, and just put them on the Zoom group chat, and Jerry, if you could just keep an eye on that and see what you can, advice you can give people. We'll move swiftly on to Peter Stewart now, and he's going to just talk about goal setting and online engagement, training and exercise ideas. And as I said at the introduction, Peter's been one of a number of you that I've been watching. You keep it relevant all the time. You're talking about it. You got the Twitter going all the time, keeping it really, really relevant, and trying to keep your people engaged. So fair play. That's what it's all about in this current climate. So over to you, Peter. And what have you got for us? You need to just turn your mute off. That's it.
Hi Ian, thank you very much. And Jerry, great job on your talk there. So brilliant job. First of all, I'd just like to thank James and Ian and obviously everybody involved with British Taekwondo for inviting me on to talk to everybody today. I would imagine most people at this stage are probably running some sort of virtual sessions within their own clubs. However, hopefully we can share a few ideas. Hopefully you guys can pick up something from myself through this webinar, and hopefully I can get a wee bit of information from you guys as well, okay? Because it's all about sharing information. And again, even with Jerry, I've picked up a few things that I can certainly introduce, over and above what I'm already doing. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Peter Stewart, and I am a 6th Dan instructor at Lisburn Taekwondo Club and the head coach there. I don't want to give my age away. I've been involved with Taekwondo for over 30 years, and I've been running the club for 25. So I've been in the same leisure centre all that time. Over in Northern Ireland, we're all volunteer instructors, so we give up our time here basically just to run the clubs. Before lockdown happened, we were probably sitting with around 108, maybe 110 members. Now, I have noticed just by looking at the hub and stuff that the numbers are dropping, and it's very hard to engage everybody throughout the club through this pandemic and stuff. And I know that we have probably lost 25 to 30 members at the moment. Now, I have tried engaging with them through social media, tried to contact them. Some have come back and some haven't. So, the longer this goes on, I know the club is going to suffer over it. So as soon as lockdown happened, my main aim was to get classes up and running, and I wasn't quite sure how to do that at the time, but definitely got help through parents, and we were up and running within 2 or 3 days of the leisure centre closing down. So that was just like a wee background. For those people, I know there's some people logged on here who do know me, and it's great to see some familiar faces. I work as a firefighter in Belfast in a specialist rescue team. So for me, life has kind of been quite normal, where I still go to my work. My wife still goes to her work. We're very lucky where Amy, who some of you will probably recognise, she trains with me and has helped me at every virtual class since this happened. Amy's at the age of 14 and my other son is 17. Now, a lot of people don't know I even have a son because he doesn't train, but I do have a son. So life is quite normal for us because we both still go out to work and the kids are still at home. However, they're doing their schoolwork at home. So life has gone on for us. We haven't really been cooped up the same way as other people have. I also work as a fitness advisor and a health and fitness officer, as they call them, down in the Leisureplex, obviously where I run the Taekwondo as well. So I work in the gym there. So I have a background with keeping fit through that as well. So I do like to keep busy. So basically, I am here today to talk really about online engagement, the current situation that we're all faced with, obviously with COVID, and the importance of keeping as many students as you can engaged in a positive way through virtual classes. Everybody is here and we're all logged into Zoom. I had never heard of Zoom before the lockdown happened, and it was a parent that came to me and said, you need to use Zoom. I can lend you this webcam. And I think that's why the classes kind of come across really well. I was in a very lucky situation where I had the garage laid out with mats. I had pads, I had the banners from running Kick Sister programs before, so I had enough kit that I could run the class. So as soon as this happened, I was basically ready to go. I just didn't have the knowledge on the software, or I didn't have the webcam, but a parent has kindly loaned me this. I have a really good light on the garage roof, which is why it always looks really, really bright on here as well. So I was very lucky when it happened. During the talk today, I'm going to cover some sort of warm-up ideas, what we do, bearing in mind that I have more space than other people would have in their own homes. So keeping that in mind, sort of stepping techniques, what you can do in small areas. The use of external equipment, you don't have to, like we have cones here that we use, but you don't have to have cones. Again, I was on with a wee seminar with Grandmaster Dave Bailey the other day, who I know is already on here as well. And I have stolen some of his ideas as well. I will talk about those later on, but you don't need cones. You can just use other things that are close at hand. Wee bit of leg conditioning, and then external classes. And Jerry had mentioned that as well. Not only are we doing the Taekwondo classes, the good thing about the virtual classes is you can now mix a class between kids and adults quite easily, because you don't have that mix of size. So we have kind of, where we used to have adult classes, mixed classes, and kids classes, we just kind of leave them all open now. So as and when people are free, they join in. Outside of that, I'm also running fitness classes. So I'm doing Tabata training, I'm doing RT24. For those that don't know, RT24 is relentless training. And we're doing a wee bit of conditioning work with that as well. So those are all external. And we're running kids ones for design of kids, and then adult ones as well. And I have an adult one straight after this seminar. So as I said, we were very lucky in the situation where, first of all, I have Amy to help me train. So Amy can hold pads or demonstrate kicks, which is really, really good for visually for the other children who are watching. And we can banter off each other here as well. So it's, you know, that situation is good. Not everybody has a parent who is willing to stand in their living room holding a pad for their kid for an hour or an hour and a quarter. But certainly when this happened, I was very keen to keep the club going. With working in the leisure centre, whenever they closed the doors, I was quite aware that once those doors closed, that they wouldn't be opening again, probably until early September. And even with that, you know, numbers are going to be restricted in Northern Ireland. I would imagine if they do open in September, and there's talk of that happening, that we will not be allowed in the main hall. I think they're going to move the gym in there, so we're going to be put into smaller rooms, and due to that, numbers may be limited between 6 and 10 people, and it's very difficult to run a class. You know, if you have 80 or 90 members, to say, right, we can only have 10 in this session or 10 in the other. And as this is what I would class as a hobby for myself, I can only dedicate 3 nights or 3 training sessions a week at the leisure centre through work and night shifts and stuff. Anyway, so basically, I'm just going to I have a few notes here that I just need to flick through. Sorry, this isn't on a presentation, guys, but some of the stuff that I kind of talk through or what we're doing, I will get Amy to demonstrate. No point in me doing it while Amy's here. So this is why Amy's here. So it was pretty much just to keep people engaged and make it as much fun as they can, especially for the kids. On our very first live session, I was blown away. The first session, I think, was the day following the leisure centre closing down, and with 25 logged in for the first session. I got a real good buzz out of running a class over Zoom. I don't know what it was. I don't know whether it was just training with my own daughter on a one-to-one basis and everybody else following in. But I was nervous, first of all, going on, knowing that it was my voice and my face all over this Zoom class, and people were watching from all over. So anybody who isn't running virtual classes, because of that, you will get used to it very, very, very quickly. And I would certainly encourage anybody to get involved with virtual classes, whether it be through Zoom or Facebook Live. I'm now at the point where I'm trying to run it on Facebook Live as well as doing it on Zoom. Now, I am not IT savvy at all, but my son certainly helps out. And that's just that people can then watch it back. They can do it live on the Facebook, or they can watch it back. So that's a reason why I'm trying to do that. I'm not sure we were the first club to run a virtual class in the UK, but we're certainly one of the first few. I got a real good buzz out of it at the start, and I still do. I love taking the virtual classes. I love the ease of coming out of the house, coming in the garage, taking a class and walking back out, where you don't have the travel and you don't have the match delay. So I'm enjoying that side of it. Things to consider. So just whenever you're planning a class, if you haven't, I would imagine most people are now doing virtual classes, and I don't want to teach people how to suck eggs or whatever they're doing, but these are things that we have certainly thought about and things that we're doing or implementing here. So just things to consider, making sure that people have as much space as they can. Most of the parents who are involved with the club or their children are now training, or they have actually cleared a room. So they've either cleared out a sunroom, cleared out a conservatory, they've converted their patio outside, put mats down. Most of the people have actually bought mats on Amazon, or they've cleared the dining room. So just make sure that they have as much free space as they can. And if they have mats, great. If they have mats, I don't mind them kicking to their full flexibility, but if they're on a hard floor or tile floor, try to maintain the kicks down to waist level just to try and avoid injuries, making sure televisions, ornaments, anything that can be broken or kicked is well out of the way. I do try and encourage the parents to get involved with their children and try just to be there, even if it's just for home pass, just to keep an eye on them because it's an extra pair of eyes. So again, attention span as well, just try to concentrate while they're home, because it's not in that class environment and I'm not there. The kids can sometimes, they forget, you know, because I'm not actually physically there, they may think that I can't see them, but it's just trying to keep that class environment. I do like everybody still to wear their suits, wear their belts, bow in, bow out. And then the duration of the class, obviously, if anybody who hasn't been using Zoom, it is free for up to 40 minutes. And then if you want longer class times than that, you either restart and send out a new link to people, or you just pay for Zoom and then you can have the duration and class times bigger. But I think even on the free version, you're allowed up to 100 guests at any one time, which for us is more than enough. And then I give those kids a little break at 40 minutes and then I send out a new link for the second part of the class. So I'll just get a wee drink, guys, because I'm very dry. So warm-up can be done on the spot. We all know, we all are coaches here, we've all been doing this for years and years and years, and I don't want to sound like I know any more than anybody else or any less than anybody else, but certainly you don't need an awful lot of space to warm up. It can be done on the spot, or where we're quite lucky where we have a full garage, double width and double length. So you've got your movement forwards and backwards. We're quite lucky where we can turn around here, we can run around in circles if we need to. As I've said, a lot of people have converted their rooms, so most of them have their little mini dojangs now that they can walk in and jog in. So just as a general warm-up, we'll do jogging on the spot, we'll do jogging forwards, jogging backwards, we can do our side steps. Again, if you're limited for space, it can be one step one side, one step the other. We'll have our star jumps or jumping jacks, we'll have our side steps, as I said. What I like to do with it, I'll get Amy to demonstrate this, is what we call a snake. Okay, so I'll just move that thing. So what I try to do is, so this will be the starting point of my snake. So Amy will have to run up here, and then she'll come up, run up, and then follow the mats back down, and then at the bottom, turn around, follow, a wee bit like the old game. So you're just following the mats all the way around. Then when you come back to start, changing the exercise, so it could be a knee lift, so lifting the knees, and then just again following that path right around the mat. So you're using every mat all the way around. And again, every time that Amy would come around, the exercise would change. So again, most of the people within our classes have bought mats, so most of them are able to do this. Again, if you don't have the mats or you're limited to space, the exercises can still be done. However, you're stuck and glued to the one spot. So that was just one wee thing that we like to use. I can sit down again. Don't want to tire you out before your next class. Okay, so that was just one idea. Again, what we can do is a little bit of stepping. Sorry, I'm going to get you up again. Okay, so again, we can do stepping with a partner. We can do it virtually. So again, if you're on the spot, you can just be doing your stepping. So just do your stepping, just changing your stance. So you can be on the spot. It's great that Amy's here, that I don't have to do all this. So again, if you have that little bit of space, you can be stepping forward, so just moving in. moving in and then sliding back. Okay, so this is just variations of things that we do, just depending on the class. Okay, so again, she can move all the way forward, all the way up the hall, and again, defensively moving down. Another version of that, what we do is shoulder taps. So any of the kids who have partners, we can both be up. Excuse the shorts, but it's still quite warm. Okay, so again, from here, just using the shoulder taps, and again, a little bit of movement. So you have the size, and again, if you have a very small space, it's just kind of touch, just kind of get around and touching on the shoulders. So again, we games that they can play. Again, not everybody has partners, but again, you can still practice that style of technique on your own. Another version of stepping would be just on a 360 degree. So for this here, would be using, I would say to Amy, right, we're just going to use a blue mats. You're not allowed to touch the red mats. Treat it as a ring, but move in every direction. So again, she's using her stepping techniques. I'll get myself out of the way a wee bit. Again, but just staying on the blue mats. So maybe do 30 to 45 seconds on with a 15 to 20 second rest and then going again. So again, just on the blue. Okay, so again, just treating it like a ring, and again, good for warming the legs up. Another variation of that, which we do like to do, which is great for kids who have no space, is if you grab a sock or a cone, it doesn't really matter. Grab a nice fusty sock if you like. Okay, so grab a cone. So again, just setting the cone down dead center. So that is her marker. So what I would say is you must stay within sort of a foot to a foot and a half of that. So she keeps her front foot on it, and she must stay within the boundary of that. So she can step over it, she can step around it, step over, round, but she has to stay within a foot of that. So again, great for people who have very, very limited space, and again, great way to warm the legs up. So again, that's just another variation on the stepping. Another thing that we can do is, you want to grab 4 cones there? So we do this with 4 cones. So we get 4 different colored cones. Okay, so what I would get everybody to do is put blue front left, whatever way you set these out, I'll call it. Red front right. I'll put that in there. So what we do is we lay out 4 cones in 4 different colors, and Amy will be in the middle. Now, I was doing a seminar again the other night with Master Bailey, who I know is watching. So he has another variation of this, but these all work well. So Amy will be in the center, stay dead center of it for me. So I will call out blue. So quickly over to blue, back into the center. I'll say yellow, over to yellow. Oh, she's colorblind, back in, and I'll say red, going to red. I'll say green, blue, and then always coming back in the center. So again, these are just variations. Again, if they don't have cones, just using colored markers or just getting bits of paper, just writing the colors on it, or again, just 4 different color bits of clothing, anything at all that they have at hand. You can just use front, backwards, left and right, or you can use your north, south, east and west. It's totally up to yourselves. Okay, I just like the use of cones just for the visualization of it. All right, you want to jump in there again? You'll probably be up again in a second. So that's just a few of the ideas for warming up. Again, and most of the classes, certainly with the kids, will try and do that snake one and just changing the exercise each time. For moving on then, just other things that we would be doing, and again, this can be done with or without a partner, is your dynamic stretching or static stretching. Okay, so depending on the class, we might start with our dynamic stretching. So again, with or without a partner, we'll do it without a partner, so that'll save me getting up. Again, just your crescent kick, so just nice big crescent kicks, inward outward or outward inward. Again, just to warm the legs up. Again, if you have a partner, it's a whole lot better where you can take any turns. We can do our push kicks with it. We can do our axe kicks with it. So again, I'm sure the guys, you know, we're all Taekwondo instructors. These are things that we do day in, day out of classes. So I don't want to be going over stuff that you're all doing anyway. Another little drill that we can do is where we can do, so bit side of the body, bit side of the body as if you had a partner. So bit side of the body, bit side of the body, just on the spot. So click to the body, bit side of the body. So again, another good warm up drill, just keep going. So body and body. And then from there we'll go body, body, head. So we'll go body, body, up to the head, and then body, body, up to the head. So every third shot is up to the head. Again, it's just another little variation. Conditioning then. So again, these are things that we do within the class. And again, Master Bailey had other variations of this at his session the other day. And yes, Master Bailey, my legs were definitely sore after that. So some good stuff. So again, all you need is a table or a chair or the use of a wall or the garage door. I'm going to get myself out of the way so as I'm not in the way. So from here, I will get Amy to making sure that the standing leg, 180 degrees, 170, 180 degrees, lifting the leg up into that chamber position. I'll then call out, so out and hold. So again, just extending that leg out and holding. So we'll be doing that for 10 seconds and then change on to the other side. And again, same thing, lifting that knee up, that chamber position, checking the foot position, and again, out and hold for 10. And this is another reason why I have Amy in here, because I can't physically do that. Okay, then we'll change legs again. And again, if we have a paddle, we can use a paddle. If not, just lifting the knee up and then 10 kicks. So again, just trying to hold that and doing your 10 kicks. And again, doing this on both sides. So great for a wee bit of leg conditioning. And then another variation of this, which Master B did the other day, Master Bailey, okay, was the figure of 8 with the knee. Okay, so lifting the knee up in that chamber position and then doing your figure of 8. So working the knee around, just working the hips. Okay, so really, really good exercise. And then another one where you're opening your hip up. So rotating around the front and right round and just rotating through. So again, I picked up a few things from Master Bailey's seminar the other day, and again, I will definitely be incorporating some of his ideas into the classes. So again, some very, very good stuff. So again, those leg holds can be done with front kicks or side kicks, turning kicks. Again, those are all good things for conditioning the legs. Pad work then, a lot of the kids within the classes, you have been able to either take the pads out of your own club and loan them out, or some of the kids probably have their own. We put an order in for an awful lot of the parents at the start, so everybody seems to have their own pads. A lot of them have bought the big shields as well, so most of the kids are kitted out now with mats and pads and shields. So we all know I'm quite old and I still love hitting pads. You know, the kids love hitting pads, everybody loves hitting pads. So on a normal day-to-day session, we will go through and cover all the basics. We try not to overcomplicate the classes because there's not that one-to-one with the coaches. You know, whenever I'm running a class, there's me, my daughter Amy, and there might be 25 to 35 kids on the screen. It's very hard to be running the class and then watching all 35 kids. So we do try and keep it simple. We do just your normal bit shaggies, sort of front kicks, side kicks, 360 kicks, push kicks, crescent kicks, and then we'll do basic counter kicking as well, just to have that wee bit of movement. And again, as they have very, very limited space, these again can all be done on the spot. You do one kick and then change your stance, one kick and change the stance. I do try to run the classes as normal as I can, so we do try and keep it as formal as we can. Again, covering basic hand techniques, we still go through all our basic hand techniques. We're still going through all our 3-step, all our poomsae as best we can. What I have done, again, it's very hard to watch 25 people doing poomsae on icons this size. So any of the parents who are happy to, I have sent a text out through a WhatsApp group to all the students, all the parents, and just says anybody who is looking feedback, certainly you can video yourselves doing your poomsae, send it through to me on WhatsApp. I will watch it, I will screenshot it, circle sort of 0.1, 0.3s and give feedback. So it's an easier way for me to analyze our patterns where it's coming through in a small video, and any of the parents who are happy enough to send it through have been, and they've found it really, really useful. So it's another tool that can be used. Whenever we're doing the poomsae classes, whatever, we usually start at the highest pattern and then just work our way down just as far as we know. The Karugi sessions, again, we're still trying to run Karugi sessions. Very, very difficult. Certainly not like your normal class. Any of the kids who have partners, it's great. I still try and get everybody to wear their sparring gear, whether they're on their own or not. And even at some of the sessions, I've noticed that some of the parents have actually put on some of the kids' old gear just to be used as a bob, which is great to see. Absolutely love it. So I do try to run the Krugi sessions as normal, and again, just making sure everybody's got their kit on, just to keep it as normal as possible for them, keep them used to putting that stuff on. And again, even when we're doing the Krugi, again, we'll be working on normal attacking drills, normal defense drills. Again, working with the paddle. We've done a wee bit of non-contact sparring. We've done a wee bit of light contact sparring with brothers and sisters. I've been sparring, but again, just trying to keep it very, very light contact for that. And again, another thing that I picked up from Master Billy the other day, which I really, really liked, was he was using his own body to attack at the video camera, and then he was watching us doing our defense. So it's a thing that I will certainly incorporate at the next Krugi class, where I will have the kids all with their gear on, and I'll say, I'm going to come in at you with an attack, and I want to see you all moving left, right, moving back, and then show me what you're going to do and counter with it. So again, it was another thing that I picked up. So the whole idea of these webinars is that hopefully you guys will learn something from what I'm doing, and I will certainly hopefully learn something from what you guys are doing. Like, I don't want to talk too long. Outside of normal Taekwondo classes, I am running what I said, kids Tabata. So the fitness classes that I'm running for the parents and the adults, normal Tabata is 4-minute rounds. Okay, so you're doing 8 rounds of each exercise, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. On the kids Tabata that we're running, we're just dropping it down. So rather than doing 8 sets of every exercise, we're doing 4. So instead of your rounds lasting 4 minutes, they're only lasting 2 minutes. And we're trying to keep it sport specific. So for the kids, we will do things that they would be normally doing in their Taekwondo classes. So just to work on the legs, we'll be doing the squats, we'll be doing the lunges. Maybe if it's just punching 180-degree squat jumps, or just if it's just basic kicking for those 20 seconds. So trying to just keep it sport specific to Taekwondo, again, for the children. The RT24 is more for kids aged 15 and above, and that is relentless training. I'm in a position where I'm lucky enough where I'm a qualified instructor in these, where I can take them and have external insurance to do it. Not everybody's in that same position, but the RT24 is a high intensity resistance or hit based class. So again, people would need a 10 kilo plate or 15 kilo plate for those classes. But again, it's great to be able to be in a position where we can run those externally and just keep everybody's fitness up. I'm still encouraging people to go out and keep up their CV fitness, go out, do their runs, do their walks, even if it's just doing those 10,000 steps a day, just to try and keep everybody's fitness levels up. Guys, look, I had no presentation made. It was basically just to hopefully give you guys a little bit of an idea, or at least to try and encourage you to get started on Zoom sessions if you haven't already done so, and just get in front of the camera. It is nerve-wracking to be in front of a camera, knowing that everybody's watching. I was certainly nervous at the start doing them, but absolutely love them. I get a really good buzz out of it. I love to see a really, really busy class. I know, like my sort of busy classes, I might still only have 35 people, and I know other classes are getting 80 and 100 people, which is amazing. Great to see, and it's great that everybody within the UK is still online, still training and just doing their bit. So as coaches, great to see everybody doing it. Great to see all the kids, all the adults getting involved. If anybody has any questions, certainly fire them through, and I will do my best to answer them. But again, I'd just like to thank everybody for their time and listening, and that's us done. So thank you, Yemi, and thank you to Ian and James for the invite. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Peter. Just before you go, I just wondered, do you do any personal training, you know, one-to-one training? You talked about doing feedback sessions and that kind of thing. Do you have any one-on-one sessions that you conduct online?
Not online, no. I do personally, yes, but not online, no.
Right.
No.
I know a few people have been trying to do that, and it works. We've got an opportunity at the moment to do some outdoor stuff as well, which I'll talk about at the end. But
yeah,
you know, when you're teaching children and you're doing personal sessions, one-on-one sessions, it throws up a whole load of questions around the safeguarding of those kids.
Yeah.
You know, the parents in the room. You can imagine it's a Pandora's box
Absolutely, yeah, totally agree.
I wondered if you had any experience of doing that, or is it just your traditional classes that
No,
you...
just the traditional classes with the kids, where everybody's in at the one time. Any of my one-to-ones sort of classes will be with adults, and to be honest, most
Yeah.
of them are external from Taekwondo. So
Fine. It's just a pointer to anybody that is on this call that if you are doing individualized training, just consider the whole safeguarding element, because it's quite important. Something, just picking up on what Peter said earlier on about being new to Zoom. If you are, obviously you're not that new because you're on this conference, so you know what it's like. But if you look in our coronavirus advice pack, not the best title in the world, but that's as good as we could make it. I think we're up to version 5 of that document now. We keep updating it all the time. There's lots and lots of advice and a step-by-step guide on how to get set up, the types of things you can use. We've had sections on these calls before where we've talked through how to do it, how to get the equipment. If you're not sure, then have a look at that document. It's on our website. Something else just picked up on what Peter said about mats. I don't know if he's still doing it, but those of you that know or have accounts with Stewart Taylor from Key Martial Arts, he was trying to do a little bit of a deal on mats. If you bought 3 or 4 or 5 square meters from him, he was doing them at a really cheap price. So if you're looking, or any of your students are looking for them, I don't get commission, by the way, so that's not why I raised that. It's just something that he raised with us. So if people are looking for very small amounts of mats, then he might be able to he might have stopped doing that from what the web chat is saying at the moment. So I'm out of date as usual. I think we'll move on. So thank you very much to Peter. If you have any questions for Peter or follow-ups, throw them down on the group chat, and we'll move very quickly now on to Mark Hayward, who's going to talk about goal setting and planning your return. So Mark, if you're there, all yours.
Thank you, and thanks for that, Jerry and Peter. Fantastic. This is my first, probably my first dealings I've had with Taekwondo for a very, very long time as it goes. So Ian, if you don't mind just staying on the line so I can hear you, because I'm going to be putting a presentation on my screen via my iPad, and I'm useless at this sort of stuff. So it'd just be great if I can just check in and make sure that everybody can see what I think they can see. What I'm going to do today is just really talk about my own personal experience, because there's a lot of expertise in this room, and what I don't want to do is kind of be the person that condescends to tell people what to do. That's not what I want to do. But this whole COVID-19 situation has seen me almost taking a 180-degree turn and going in a completely different direction. So if I just put you into the picture, I'm the chief instructor of Predator Taekwondo. I'm also a GB performance lifestyle coach, and the mainstay of my classes really is working in schools. I teach PE 1 day a week in a private girls' school, and I do a lot of enrichment classes. And of course, that's all changed. That's all stopped, which stopped me dead in my tracks, really. And as a result of that, I've gone back into my old day job. I'm a close protection officer, and I've been doing that 6 days a week. So Taekwondo for me just hasn't existed at the moment. So all the great plans and everything else that people have been doing online and all the rest of it, for me, it seems like a bit of a jealous dream, really. I'd love to be able to get on and do that kind of thing, but it's not to be, unfortunately. I'm caught up in this sort of Groundhog Day of get up in the morning, eat, watch Netflix, and go to bed again. And if that resonates with anybody out there, then I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. But I am hopeful that sooner or later we will be in a position where we can start thinking seriously about what the lifting of a lockdown looks like and how we get back to normal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my presentation on the screen. So just bear with me a second. And Ian, like I say, if you can let me know that you can see it, that'd be great. So I'm just going to do that now. Start me broadcast. Okay, Ian, can you see what I think you can see?
It just says you are sharing screen.
Was it?
If that helps. The
Right,
PowerPoint was up before.
Oh, was it? That does help, Emily. Let me just see if I can get back to that then.
Do what you did the first time.
What I'll do the first time, I'll do again. Boom. Right. Can we see? Hang on. Can we see that?
Yes, if you just sort of flick off, that's it.
That
I can see that. Yeah, can everyone else?
Yep, we've
wonderful.
Fab.
Great news. Okay, well that was the first drama over. So basically, as I said, I'm going to be looking at goal setting for an effective return, but this is goal setting for me and for my effective return. And if this is something that you find useful, then please feel free to take it and use it. If you don't find it useful, I'll send you my apologies now, because it's only going to be the next 10 or 15 minutes anyway. But yeah, I'm really in a bit of a quandary, because I know that I'm probably going to go back after COVID-19 to little, if any, of any significant kind of club. So for me, goal setting is absolutely key. So first of all, it's useful, I think, to establish what a goal is. And a goal is an idea of a future or desired result that a person or group envisage, plan and commit to achieve, usually within a finite time by setting deadlines. Okay. When we want to establish our own goals, it often comes from a dream or an idea that we've had. And then that process will lead us to consider how we achieve what we want to achieve. And I'm really searching my soul at the minute as to what my goals are, but I think I've kind of hit on what it is that I want to do. So it follows a very specific process. It starts off with the dream or idea, then we establish the goals. The goals will only come to life if we've made a plan, and the plan itself is a series of actions. Now, I'm going to carry on with the eating theme, because I had a dream last night. I had a dream that I wanted to eat a great big bag of chips. So my goal, of course, therefore, is to eat some chips. My plan is to decide and find out which chippies are even open. Have I got any bread and butter, etc., etc. And then that turns into a series of actions. I've got to go and get my car keys. I've got to go and drive to wherever I need to drive to. I've got to come home. I've got to get the plates out, etc., etc., etc. And please forgive me for indulging this, but I've just been food obsessed and eating so much. And if there's anybody that needs to get back to Taekwondo at the minute, let me tell you, it is me. But on a serious note, I know that a lot of people are experiencing some really quite destructive anxiety at the minute. You know, they're considering things like, am I going to have a venue to train in when I get back? I know I'm not. You know, working in a school, I know for a fact that the schools in my area are are talking about January next year before they will even consider any enrichment activity. That really disturbs me. Am I going to have any students to teach? Am I going to have any instructors to teach the students? And of course, all of these things become amplified when we start considering if my club is actually a business or if it's a source of significant income. And to me, as a self-employed instructor, it was most definitely. But if we want to dream and we want to make sure that we're in the zone of getting back to some sort of normality, now's the time to start making a list of all those things that you want to do, no matter how large or small. Because if you don't do that, we can't guarantee that it will happen. Remember, these are your dreams and your ideas, and only you can make them happen. And a goal is a dream that you brought to life. Okay? Now, I know for an absolute fact there are people, some very, very respected people, I respect personally, on this chat who will look at this next slide and say, that's absolute bread and butter. Do you know what? I know this inside out, and I know that you do. So for me, it's just about making this a little bit of a reminder, maybe. Okay. So we talk about working smarter. And the fact that a dream remains a dream until you do something about it, then it becomes a goal. Goals require specifics. This is exactly what am I going to do? That's the bit that I want to be absolutely clear about. They require measured elements, such as how long things are going to take and how much I can do. Any goal requires achievability. So I need to ask myself, am I setting myself up to fail here? Am I on a hide into nothing? And now is the time to reflect on how realistic my goal or goals are. Finally, a time boundary will help to keep me on task. And we're going to go through that in a second, because I'm going to share with you what I've kind of formulated for my own personal return, whenever that may be. It says work smarter. So the ER bit on the end can be put down to being evaluated and being reset if necessary. So my goal is very, very simple. By the end of 2020, I would like to be running 2 full 1-hour Taekwondo sessions a week in 2 locations, Hampshire and Surrey. That's where I operate. Okay. So I want to reflect on that goal just very, very briefly and look at the different elements to ensure that my goal is actually a smart goal. So I'm going to do by the end of 2020. There's a measurement involved. Running 2 full-time sessions in two locations. There's another couple of measured elements. Okay, is it achievable? It's achievable to me, but maybe the unachievable elements in all of this is the fact that I'm working to an unknown. When is this going to lift? I've applied a little bit of logic to that, and I'm saying hopefully by the end of the year. Hopefully. Is it realistic? Can I achieve this? It's realistic if the COVID-19 situation is lifted. It's very, very simple. I can do that. I can do what's written on my goal if those circumstances allow me. And is it timed? Yeah. Well, I'm going to say by the end of the year. I'm not going to say by the end of next week because we just don't know. So what's my plan? So my plan is to keep all students informed of impending changes through social media. And I'll be honest with you, I've been rubbish at that. I've been rubbish at it because it's not my forte, and I've been busy doing other things, trying to keep a roof over my head in these very, very challenging times. But I'm okay with that. That sits well with me. And Taekwondo is something that's a big part of my life, but at the moment, not at any cost, for me personally. I'm going to try and offer free training for those who instantly return, and maybe a reduced rate for the first 2 months post-lockdown to incentivise existing or new members. I also would like to host a post-lockdown grading to allow a sense of fair progression and to promote interest. Now, obviously, you know, that will involve an element of training, but we normally, in Predator, we normally do 2 gradings a year, which you might agree with or you might disagree with. Again, it's just what we do. But I'd like to incentivise people to come back and really get stuck back into their training, and I don't want to hold them back. So what are my actions? So my actions are to deliver weekly Facebook, WhatsApp and YouTube posts. And again, I'm kind of getting there with that, but it's not really my strength. But what I have done is I've delegated to some people that would like to do it, that enjoy doing that. And again, that's okay. They normally send things through to me and say, is this okay? Yes, it is. I'm happy for you to post that. Monitoring my finances. This is a big one because I've got no money at all coming in to Predator Taekwondo at the moment whatsoever. But we've got a few little pennies in the bank which should hopefully tide us over. I want to contact landlords and my rental managers, okay, because these are the guys that may have a little bit of insider information to make my goal a bit more intelligent. If I know when's their potential to be back into my class, that's going to come from those guys, and just dropping them a little email every now and again, giving them a little nudge every now and again. I'm monitoring media constantly. You know, the situation with the government, etc., because they're giving us relevant snippets of information. Again, whether you agree with the style of that or how they're doing it or whatever is not a concern, as long as what they're saying they do, they do. I'm also auditing my equipment, making sure that when I do return, I've got the stuff I need. I'm auditing my memberships on the hub, and I'm seeing who's expiring, and I'm putting them onto a list to say, you know, I'm going to make contact with these people just to make sure that they are, or they want to still re-engage. This is a period of intense reflection. I'd also like to host weekly meetings with my staff and my instructors. Again, that's something that's very, very difficult because I kind of almost don't want to bother them in such testing times, but I know that it's crucial to the survival of the club. So, I mean, it really is over to you guys to start really thinking about what your post-lockdown situation looks like, and to start setting those goals for an effective return. A good way of doing that, as I've said, is to write it down and then just look, is this process smarter? Okay, but overall, in these very, very difficult times, whatever you're doing, if you're doing it as best you can do, then you're doing your best. So if anybody's got any questions, I'm more than happy to answer any questions. But again, this whole process for me is just about giving you an insight as to what I want to do and how it's going to affect me. So I'm going to have a difficult process now of getting myself back into Zoom. So just bear with me a second and I'll be back online with you guys shortly. Okay, am I back in the room? Back on Celebrity Squares. Happy days.
Thank you.
More than happy to take any questions at all. But again, it was literally just to give you guys an idea as to what I'm facing in real time as an instructor and as somebody that's got a life to run to.
Quick question, really, Mark. You know,
Yeah.
You do you do any online training at the moment yourself?
No, I don't. Just because I have to say, I've got work. I've got and you know the work that I do is very intense. And I never, to be honest with you, I never thought I'd be doing it again. But I've gone back into it because I've had to go back into it, and for a number of reasons. And I'm going to mention, I know this has been mentioned before, but I'm going to mention mental health. I have to be out my house. I have to be part of the solution in all of this nonsense that's going on. And at the minute, I don't think I've got the mental bandwidth to do some of the fantastic work that I know people are doing online. You know, and I'm just being honest about my situation. But as it happens, it's you know, having the ability to go and do the things I'm doing has been a godsend, really. So
I think one of the biggest things that we find when people are goal setting is just the physical act of writing it down. It is a massive help. We all have so many ideas floating around our mind, and we're going to do this, I want to do that. What does my world look like in 6 months' time? And the number of people that I speak to that don't get to that point of just sitting down for, you know, a couple of hours and just say, I'm going to put this time to one side to map out where my world is going to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what I've taken away from your presentation there is just do that, you know, think about it, because there's one thing certain, you know, colleagues, is that the world has changed, and I hear this word, the new normal. That's 2 words, but I hear that expression all the time now, and we just have to start planning for what that new world is going to look like. So, you know, thank you very, very much for your presentation, Mark. What I'm going to do is just wrap up with what I know about government rules, relaxation of lockdown. I spend a bit of time liaising with other sports and sit on a panel of the other CEOs of sports organisations, and Sport England play a part in these online meetings as well. So as you will have all noticed from what Boris has been saying on the TV lately, and it might change today, you know, from the 1st of June, there's been a little bit of a relaxation of rules. And Rhiannon, I'm just hoping if you can, are you able to share that snapshot slide that I had, and put that up so that everybody can see? I don't know if that's possible. You know, the government are saying that we can do a few different things at the moment. If we can make that a little bit bigger somehow or not, but yeah, that's gone smaller. Oh, there you go. So a lot of you may have seen this already from the BBC website, but it's a very, very at a glance piece of work. And the key part of this, of course, is that there are different rules for England, Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales, just to complicate matters. But what it does say, you know, as you see in front of you, is that in England now, the government are allowing up to 6 people to meet anywhere outdoors, as long as they're 2 meters apart. So if you are a personal trainer or a coach, or you are wanting to start to teach again in small groups, you can do it, as long as it's outdoors and everybody stays 2 meters apart. That is different in Scotland, as you can see. They will allow up to 8 people, but only from 2 different households. So a Taekwondo example would be 1 instructor, because remember, the instructor is 1 household, teaching 7 people from a second household. That's a big household, 2 adults and, you know, 5 kids. So that's the kind of nuances that we all have to navigate at the moment. I know it's not a lot. there's not a lot of wriggle room there. But if you are a personal coach and you do want to teach outdoors, then you can do that. What I do know from Sport England is that the government are likely to announce something week commencing the 15th of June, another couple of weeks for indoor sport, shall we say. But this will cut across the bars, the restaurants, gyms, that whole area of indoor activity where people can, mingle and get together in groups. That is likely to come into effect around about the 4th of July. So just to repeat that, what I'm being told at the moment is that the government and Sport England and a lot of other bodies will make an announcement at week commencing the 15th of June. But those rules will be for activity after the 4th of July. What that is, I'm not sure. I spoke about this at length in our last online conference, but if we extend these 2 metre apart rules and we also look at what elite sport is doing at the moment, some of the elite sports, including GB, they are having to still socially distance. They're having to provide separate entrances and exits. They're having to provide measures to do with equipment, cleaning regimes, a whole raft of different things that, to be frank, for most of us in just normal clubs, it will be very, very difficult to implement. GB Taekwondo have spent thousands and thousands of hours and pounds creating a bubble environment, almost like an ICU within the National Centre in Manchester. Everybody gets tested on the way in the door. that's how how far they've done. For normal clubs and, like I said, gyms and bars and restaurants, there is going to be a relaxation of rules, but who knows what that's going to look like. We could have social distancing for quite some time, to the end of the year. It all depends on whether there's a vaccine developed and whether the government make the decision that herd immunity is sufficiently developed so that we can all go back to normal. Some countries in Europe and Asia are already doing that, but it's very, very difficult. Nobody has all the answers, and all I can say is that we will have, and we are working on quite an extensive piece of work, a document at the moment for a return to play. If you follow what the government and the Sport England, Sport Scotland, Sport Northern Ireland, Sport Wales are all, the language they use, they call it a return to play. But what I would say to everybody on this call and the wider Taekwondo community is just start thinking about what that new normal might look like in your gym. If you have a full-time centre, you are legally obliged, if you're the owner of a centre or a tenant of a centre, you will be legally obliged to come up with a COVID-19 risk assessment and an operational plan to be able to open your facility. That's before you even think about the Taekwondo. That's just for the building and the premises that you occupy. If you are a renter of a hall, what I would call a traditional Taekwondo club that's renting a sports centre or a church hall or a gym in some location, the first thing you will need to do is acquire that venue's own risk assessment and coronavirus operational plan. And that will set out how that building will operate, things that you must do as you come in, as you go out, how shared facilities like toilets and changing rooms and all that kind of thing are what the rules are regarding them. Then you will have to look at, as a Taekwondo instructor, you'll have to develop your own risk assessment and operational plan around your Taekwondo sessions and your Taekwondo activity. I know it sounds pretty daunting, and we will be helping you through this with a help guide and some templates and some documentation that will handhold people through this step by step. But we're still developing this ourselves because we're working with government and we're working with Sport England to do this. We aim to be able to publish our advice very shortly after the government publishes their advice in a couple of weeks' time. So I hope that's a help. You can, as I say, you can do work outside in small groups, and what you see in front of you at the moment is about as much as I know, and please don't try and misinterpret this. You know, if you are from a different household, as an example, you know, Jason, you just asked me about holding pads for a group of 5 within the 2 meter rule. If you are not from that household, then you have to be very, very careful. You have to stay 2 meters away. So if there are people approaching you and they come closer than 2 meters, so unless you've got extra long arms, you shouldn't be doing that. But that's not to say that if you are teaching a family group of 5 people and that family group live together, there is no problem with them sharing equipment, as long as that equipment has started with them. And if it hasn't started with them, it is cleaned thoroughly before it is given to these people. It's just common sense, folks. It's not, you know, we can all discuss all the various nuances about can we do this, can we do that? But if in doubt, consult the government guidelines, look on the BT website, look at our coronavirus advice pack, and it will handhold you through that process. But what you see on your screen at the moment is just a very small crack in the door, an opportunity that if you are doing personal training, then you can do it outside within 2 meters. So I hope you found that helpful. Please, if you can, keep training, keep proactive, as we are doing here. Share as much as you possibly can. It's, as I say, this is not going to go away anytime soon. So we, as Mark said, Taekwondo can play its part. You know, we've got physical and mental well-being of our members, even as Jerry said, just to keep in touch with our people. Ask how they're doing once a week, once a fortnight. You've heard me say this before. Some people, Taekwondo is their entire social lives, and they may be sat at home in, you know, difficult home circumstances, feeling quite lonely, cut off from their friends and their Taekwondo colleagues. Sometimes just a Zoom chat or a phone call or whatever that is can make all the difference to people. So yeah, do what you can. But the big message for me, the takeaway from today, is don't just assume that we'll get to July and it'll be all over, you know, it back to normal. My suspicion is, and I know as much as you, my suspicion is that it'll be very slow, and the world as we know it won't be quite the same again. So your sessions, I can't remember whether it was Peter or Mark, but your sessions may have to change. As an example, if you have a class of 30 and you hire a hall for 2 hours, it may be a case of to conform to 2 meter distancing rules, you can't put 30 people in there anymore. It might be 15, might be 10, but you use those live sessions with smaller groups of people to do your feedback and evaluation, and you present your content online in advance. So you're doing all the learning, all the teaching in advance in online sessions once a week, and then also once a week you get people to come in very small groups. So, you know, I appreciate a lot of you hire halls for 1 or 2 hours, and it's not economical to extend that hire time, especially in places like London, where just it's ridiculous prices, you know, just to rent venues for a longer time. So if you are doing that, then it's just thinking smart. Get your learning out there online and use the time that you have to give more feedback and evaluations in small groups. Get people to come into the class at a specific time. You know, give them a time slot to come, you see them, they go. All these kinds of things you should be starting to think about, and we will, as we know more, we'll spend a bit of time on these online sessions talking about it, and our advice pack that we put in will do it as well. So, okay, we've overrun as usual by about 1/4 hour, so I hope you found today really, really helpful. Thank you again to Jerry and to Peter and to Mark. It's been really helpful. We will do this again in a couple of weeks. And, you know, keep safe, keep strong. If you have any questions, please put them on the web chat. We will try and answer them as best we can, and keep safe and look after yourselves, and have a good evening if you're going to do a session.